before. Oh no, no. Yo, 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 it's your boy T.O. As you know.
It's your boy O Rain, real name, no games, no gimmicks.
Yo, it's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and film related, along with any of the goddamn thing we want to talk about, coming to you live, direct, proof of concept studios in studio. What the fuck is up? What's going on?
Yo, you know what a show I've been watching lately?
What you been watching?
UK Love Island.
Yo, ever since... All right.
What?
Hold on.
Yeah,
Ever
what?
since...
I know where you're going. Ever since...
Yo, ever since this guy's got booed up, all of a sudden you're watching fucking Love Island. You just
what
watched.
else? See, that's the only thing.
All right, yo, and we got some backup today because Addy's actually got his.
There was
his
Vampire Diaries, but again,
there was no. I got another one for you.
Which one?
So you just talked last week about the all women led action movie. I'll rewind the clock like a year or two.
What, Milkshake Gunpowder?
Yeah, Milkshake Gunpowder, right?
Yeah.
And I remember like a year or two, we would talk about like I think it was like some Charlize Theron like action movie, and you'd be like, well, I just don't understand. And women, you know, when they punch, it's like that's not realistic because you know the guy's like 100 and or 200 some odd pounds, and Charlize Theron's like 109. How does this work? But now it's you watch Gun Shake, Milk Powder, whatever the fuck it's called, and all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm all for this. Whoever says they don't like it, fuck them.
And no. That movie, the action sequence and scenes of that movie were some of the worst I've seen fucking ever.
Nice to know there's some of you still left.
Yeah, listen, there's a particular fight scene in the movie that happens in like a bowling alley. It's like, the actress, she's fighting like 5 guys right now. And then we've seen scenes like that in movies all the time where like one person is fending off 5 or 6 other attackers, right? And I think movies and these like fight scene choreographers do as decent of a job of it as possible, trying to make it look realistic. This shit looked insanely. It looked like everyone was like, all right, 1, 2, 3, like punch, kick, here I come, like that kind of. It was so fucking terrible. It was like, I remember me and Emily, we were watching the movie, and like we both just looked at each other like, yo, this is fucking terrible. But the movie was still great. Anyway, back to UK Love Island.
UK Love
now,
Island. Right.
So it was her idea to watch this, right?
Sure.
So I swear to God, it was her idea. I think she was watching something similar, and I was like, we were looking for something to watch.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of these like dating game shows, like Love Connection, and like remember that social media dating game or whatever, where they were all in like little bubbles. And they
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It was like a bunch of people, it was like 12 people, and they're all in like their own little bubbles
the
or whatever.
circle or something.
Yeah, the circle or some shit like that. And like they like would like fall in love by like just like talking to people or some shit like that. And it was fucking weird.
Sure.
Anyway, so I'm like, so we played around with a few of these dating game shows, right? And like there were ones with like the American people on it, but I don't want to see people from New Jersey fall in love. You know what I mean? They don't deserve that.
Wait, what the fuck? Why don't people from New Jersey deserve love?
It's New Jersey, like New Jersey, Delaware. Just
well, that's why Brooklyn got or I guess they're a former New Jersey team, but that's why they got bounced from the playoffs because like bitch, we remember we remember your humble beginnings.
See you happy. But anyway, so it was like let's watch the UK ones because they have like those funny accents and shit, and they say weird shit in it, and whatever. It's fun. It's actually really, really good.
Oh my god, I don't know if I like this version of you.
Listen, I'm telling you,
I'm uncomfortable with this version of Rain.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you are ever in the mood to watch any like trash, garbage TV,
never in the mood for that.
UK Love Island,
yeah,
it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's always the same thing though. Like that's why I always have a problem with like watching those reality TV shows. I don't have anything against them like on principle in terms of like just being trash TV overall. Because God knows I've watched my fair share of shows that are garbage. Like I remember one time, so Caroline, she was watching The Fosters or some shit, and then like
with The Fosters
like it was on like ABC or some shit.
I'm thinking about the Fockers.
Fockers.
Like, was there?
No,
I didn't know there was a TV spinoff. But okay, the Fosters.
The Fosters, and so I just like I got sucked in for a few episodes. So I've watched like trash TV because it's The Fosters is terrible.
But you remember the Real World and the Road Rules, and they would have like
but this
the
is
Real
like a
World Road Rules challenge.
This is like a far cry from that because the Real World used to be about like literally just like 5 strangers, but
7 strangers picked to live in a house, right?
And like they really got into some shit.
Yeah.
This is just all about who's hooking up with who, and like everybody just looks like they fucking just came off of fucking GQ magazine and shit.
The thing I do like about like when we're talking about Real World Road Rules, right? Old reality TV, it wasn't always like, oh, I'm here to find love. It was just like, yo, I submitted an audition video. They picked me.
Exactly.
I'm here. We're gonna like have some fun, do some wild
what's gonna happen. And that was
we might fuck. We might fight. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because
dude, like,
you didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen. You didn't have anything to base it off of.
Yeah.
You were just like, I don't know. I guess we were doing it.
Should we let them fuck? Yes. Just film it. Get the audio.
Turn up the audio. Turn up the gain.
The boom mic guy is like, yo, I'm hard right now. And all the blood is in my dick, so I can't really hold this mic anymore.
Slipping out of his head.
But the first couple seasons of The Real World was like insane. But anyway, again, if you're looking for some trash TV to watch, Love Island UK, surprisingly, I really like the shit. I mean, we finished season 6 in like a week, and we were like, yo, we got to do season 5. Anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Look, let's move on from that nonsense because Jesus Christ, you went on for about 3 hours about fucking Lovecraft.
Don't be jealous.
UK. But let's jump into some this week, next week. So I have a lot of things to pour through for this week. First, can I get some fucking air horns real quick? Let me just get some air horns here right quick. Shout out to the fucking Bucks, man.
The Milwaukee Bucks. It's been a long time since your boy Aaron Rodgers has won a championship. And, being a minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, he's got another ship. So good for him too.
Yeah. I can't lie. Who knows? Maybe he might sell his share sometime soon. Actually, they just won a championship, so no matter if he stays in Green Bay or leaves, he's gonna hold on to that.
Why he's not gonna sell it just because he leaves? Keep that shit.
But yeah, shout out to the Bucks, Giannis. I literally can't name anybody else.
Antetokounmpo?
Yeah, something like that.
That was close.
Yeah, I'm sure it was not. But. Dude, we should be celebrating this way more than we are. And when I say we, I actually just mean me in terms of I should have probably paid attention because this is the first time in God knows how many fucking years where we didn't get a Steph, we didn't get a LeBron championship. We just got somebody, and I guess you could count the Raptors who, when they had Kawhi Leonard. But even that, they were playing against Golden State in that case, right?
I believe so.
But this is like the first one where dude did it off the strength, dude, because he doesn't have a fucking super team over there in Milwaukee. Now you could argue that there's been a rash of injuries throughout these entire playoffs, and that's why both of these teams kind of ended up in the spot they ended up.
But everybody was subjected to that, right? Even Giannis got hurt throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, I mean, he did get hurt because I think they thought it was going to be more serious because he had a pretty it looked
I think they would think he was going to miss like game 2 or 3 or something. Yeah, because he had
like a leg what is it called, extension or hyperextension or some shit like that on his leg.
I believe so.
Yeah. But anyways, man, shout out to the fucking Bucks, man, because they did it without a fucking super team.
Yeah. Shout out to just the whole family, right? Because obviously one of his brothers plays for the Lakers, so he won a championship last season, and now I believe there are 2
play for the Lakers.
Yeah, so there are three
Damn,
Antetokounmpo brothers.
Yeah,
I can't say
you
that
sound like
shit.
you had a seizure just now.
So there are three brothers in the NBA. Two of them play for the Bucks. One plays for the Lakers. So last year, the first brother won championship, and this year the other two brothers won. So now all three brothers are NBA champions. And like, you know, you fast forward, rewind back to like 2011, 12 or whatever. Giannis was selling apples at a market in Greece. Like that's what, you know, his family did to get money, right? So long fucking way they came. So yeah, huge congratulations to him.
Yeah. We need to celebrate that brother, man. The other thing that I wanted to talk about to switch gears very fast. There was like an endgame theory that I didn't think about until just now, and fucking sadly enough, I actually watched a video that talked about it. It's like, fuck, this is the first time I heard anybody talk about it. I thought I was gonna scoop them, but apparently I didn't. In Endgame, if we were to believe where we are with Marvel right now, right, that we're dealing with the multiverse, and we're dealing with now soon to be Kang the Conqueror, right? And shout out to Jonathan Majors. I feel like he's going to light it up, dude.
He was phenomenal in that final episode.
Great, dude. Great. I'm so excited to see what he does in the MCU. If we're to believe where we're heading with it, we're heading to the multiverse, right? Now, we're saying that we're starting with the multiverse because of Loki, right? Like Loki, or I guess in part because of Loki, because he and another variant of him traveled and they fucking killed, or I guess she just killed. Loki was adamantly against. That was another Peter Quill moment, Star-Lord moment when she stabbed. When she stabbed
Kang.
Yeah. Or I guess the what do they call him in the series? The one left behind or some shit.
He who reigns.
Yeah. Right. When she stabbed him, right? Because it was just like, yo, you don't need to do this. Like you could just
just
walk away.
Even if you want to fuck him up a little bit.
Yeah. Just peel off some of his fingernails and some shit. You know, just some torture shit. You know, just some light shit. But no, she had to do him in.
Very one-directional decision, right?
It really
is.
Like,
it is one of those situations where you want something so bad, and
could you imagine trying to kill somebody and they're like, "Yo, if you kill me, that's gonna be the end of the world," and you're just like, "Let's roll the dice."
Yeah. Not even fucking worth it. Yeah, like
if there's even a chance, if there's even a partial chance that the person's telling the truth, wouldn't you just not do it?
And that's what Loki was saying. It's like, you know, like if there's even a remote chance he's telling the truth, the risk that you take by killing him
far outweighs whatever fucking
nowhere near
satisfaction.
And then when you kill him, like what do you really gain? Like
not a goddamn
that thing is over now. You're still gonna you still live the life of that she lived. She's still gonna have lots of regrets, but now you fucking unlocked a world of shit that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. But the theory that I was talking about is that we're to believe that this started like this, you know, and now because of what they did, all these splinter universes are, or all these, you know, multiverses are popping up because of them killing He Who Remains, who will eventually play Kang in the MCU. But I was thinking like, yo, for one, there were two things in Endgame that pretty much already set this up, like that's a foregone conclusion, right? If we're to believe this whole multiverse thing, that it's not Loki who started this all. In all honesty, it was kind of Cap, right? When he went back and he just stayed back in time, right? That's a splinter of the timeline, right?
Yeah, I guess it would be a splinter of the timeline, but is it like still within that universe, right? Because the multiverse means like they're
because that would him staying back means that that's a different reality, right? Mm-hmm. Than one, because him and Peggy were never together, or at least, you know, to that degree. And so him going back and staying with her changed her future, which obviously ripple effect, yada yada, butterfly effect, and that changes a lot of shit. But maybe even more than that, one that I was like thinking about that I was like, holy shit, how did we not like pick up on this? Was they had a whole fucking Thanos and his entire fucking ship from 2014 that dropped in on like, what is it, 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
And when Endgame was, and then just stayed and got murked in So Thanos theoretically in 2014, one of the 2014 timelines just doesn't exist because he left and they killed him and he never went back.
Yeah.
So that should have caused some fucking weird Nexus event, right? Because then that means he never goes, he never gathers the Infinity Stones. Like that whole thing never happens.
So in that timeline, there is no Thanos. The blip never happens.
Exactly.
Like, none of that stuff ever happens. Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, how come nobody's talking about this? Because that should have been like a fucking pretty big deal, right?
But like, so, and I think like in Endgame when they went back, right, a series of things happened. But I love how they did it with Loki, because like the first major thing to happen after them going back, which is already a rift in the timeline, right?
Yeah, is
obviously the thing that happened after Captain America beats Captain America, and then Loki gets the Tesseract, right? But to your point, there are a lot of other events that happen, which would then continue to create even more and more and more. How do they refer to it? Like the timeline. Like when something happens, when something goes off of the timeline, how do they refer to it again in Loki?
Oh, that's a Nexus event or some shit like that.
So a Nexus event is like
something major that
like caused a planet blowing up or like a timeline ending, right?
No, I don't think it means a timeline ending. I think a Nexus event is something that is just it changes the trajectory of the timeline so much that it's forced to branch off into its own thing.
Okay, yeah. So then Loki getting the Tesseract would be the first one, and then Captain America staying back would be the second one, right?
I guess if we're doing it by
does Howard, does Stark meeting his father, Howard Stark, does that create some type of event or change in the timeline?
Not necessarily, because the idea goes is, did you affect enough things in order to throw a lot of things off? And I guess the longer you stay in the past or whatever, stay somewhere that you're not supposed to be, the more variation that timeline's going to have, right? So I guess if you talk to him for like 10 minutes and then he went about his day and he would have gone about his day regardless, then that didn't change too much. Of course, if you think about it hard enough, sure, that's going to probably change a lot. But according to the fucking logic,
it wasn't like a major thing.
It wasn't like a major thing.
But and then you remember that situation in Infinity War, right? When Doctor Strange analyzed like the 1,000,001 possibilities of like how they beat Thanos, right? Like when Doctor Strange analyzed all of those possible events, right? Until he identified the one where they win. Like, did he learn anything from all those situations? Like, was it just about beating Thanos?
I mean,
or was it like
suppose it would
something else?
I would suppose it would be that he learned just about Thanos, like in terms of how all that's going to play out. I don't think it was like looking at all the possibilities within that particular universe, or I guess within that world, right? So I'm sure he's not even seeing the shit that's coming with like Kang and all the other shit, because he was just focused on this universe and how that was going to end up. Because if you think about it, Thanos said he was going to destroy half of life in this universe. So that's just this universe. Everybody else was just marching, like all the other universes just march on, like, all right, at least all the other universes that didn't have the snap happen. Just kept going on.
Either way, I love where this the storyline's going right now with this whole like multiverse thing with Kang the Conqueror. There's so much possibility. It's fucking insane.
The show What If, that's gonna be, I think that's gonna be hot, because I used to think that was just like a sideshow that like you didn't really have to pay attention. But now what I realize it is them saying, hey, here are all the other universes where these particular things had happened. So I just heard recently that it was gonna be canon, meaning that like it was gonna be a part of like the official MCU timeline or whatever the story is actually happening like in
that show looks dope. And the crazy thing about all of this is they haven't even really we haven't seen the Eternals yet, right?
What's that gonna have in it that's gonna be the thing that sets the tempo for the future?
They haven't even introduced a lot of the other Celestials, a lot of the other like the Living Tribunal, they haven't introduced Time and Death and the Oblivion and Galactus, like all of these really, really big characters in the MCU. So there's so much more story to tell. It's insane.
I think where they go after this whole multiverse thing is I think they get way more personal with it, because they have to, right? We've gone from our universe to multiple universes. Now we got to bring it back to like, all right, it's got to be like a personal
like
thing.
Smaller stories.
Phase 5 has to be like a more toned down because what are you gonna do? Multiverse? Like,
Yeah.
is that the thing?
I mean, like all we know that's coming. We know Blade is coming in Phase 5, right?
Yeah.
Or at least because I don't think he's a part of Phase 4. So I think I hope they tell some of those like really interesting, more like singular stories.
Yeah. Anyways, I just thought I'd because I was thinking about that earlier this week. I just thought I'd chop it up about that. So I do have a couple of films here to talk about as far as things that are happening this week and then taking place next week. Old comes out this week. It's the M. Night Shyamalan movie where they're at a beach and then everybody all the kids start getting like dumb old. Did you see the trailer for that?
No.
Yeah. Again, with every M. Night Shyamalan movie, it's like could be tight, also could be dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You never know.
He's like one of those. He's one of those directors who like, the people that love him. The people that hate his movies, hate it. Like The Village. What was it like? Is it like Lady in the Water or something like that?
I believe so. Yeah. I think it's Lady in the Water.
I love The Village, but a lot of people hated that movie.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah. Some people thought that was the stupidest movie ever.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. But his movies, and I'll maintain this to like to my dying days, is like his movies have like no rewatch value. Like I can't watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie like the same way. Like I remember, and I know
except for The Sixth Sense, you could watch The Sixth Sense many times.
I think that's
and enjoy
generally a good movie, but it kind of ruins it a little bit when then you're just like, all right, well, all the shit because the surprise is so big that it like dominates, like it overrides like all the great performances, the storytelling up to that point.
I think what makes it rewatchable is like going back and seeing like all the little clues, right? The things you didn't catch, like how cold it gets in the rooms and like the color red and like little small details that they drop throughout that movie.
Yeah. The first time I realized that no, I can't rewatch these movies is I remember watching Signs when I was in, I don't know, I forget what I was in. That must have been like around like somewhere like middle school ish kind of situation.
Probably
budgeting on high school. And I remember watching it and thinking, this is I watched it in theaters and it was like, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. And then I watched it again on home video. I made sure I got it on DVD. I ran out to fucking Blockbuster and instead of just renting it, I bought it on fucking DVD. Bruh. I watched it like, yo, this movie's trash.
I would say I've seen Signs maybe like 2 times. From what I remember, it was a pretty good movie. I remember the first time you actually saw the thing.
Dude.
Like actually, I remember there was like they were looking out the window.
But you see, I thought I would be like scared, like because I remember watching it like, oh my god, what's that? Right? You watch it again, like, yo, these dudes look stupid. Like it doesn't have that same impact because you're no longer like scared by it. And then when you get to like the crux of the film, it's just like, oh, like water destroys them, and then somehow that just seems real stupid. Like when you rewatch it, you're just like, nah, this is like mad dumb. Like they just choke on water. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's like, why would they come to a planet that's
it's
like
like
covered in a lot of water? That's a bad idea.
Yeah. I feel like it was bad planning on their part when whoever was drawing up those schematics for like, all right, this is what we're going to do for like the next like 2 or 3 months. We're going to go to Earth real quick. We're going to dominate.
Stay there
them,
for a little bit.
You know what I mean? They're going to hop over to Venus, and shit.
And it's like a lot of shit on planet Earth is made. Almost everything is made of
and they were like,
with water.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yo, somebody got fired immediately.
Oh, fuck yeah. Absolutely. Somebody lost their job. Whoever job that was, like, yo, you picked the absolute worst planet to come to. And also, I mean, there is no, never mind. Just hydrogen and oxygen. Well, but there are water vapors in the air, right? That's what humidity is.
I believe so.
So,
I'm too scared to sound stupid, so I'm like tepidly rocking with you, like,
because humidity is the amount of like moisture in the air, right? So
you sound like you're working that out in real time. You're just
no. I knew this. Yeah. I'm smart. Quick math. 1 + 1 is 2. So how could they even come to the planet and breathe? If there is moisture and humidity and water in the air
immediately.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been hard to like find out because they would have just been coughing.
They would have came off the ship. Like,
yo, did you hit a blunt today? What's going on?
What's up? They're like, yo, let's get back on this shit. Let's get the fuck out of here. Movie done. That movie should have ended in 15 seconds. Not to mention, if it rained, oh my god, yeah. They all would have needed the waterproof, brand new Off-White jackets. Off-White didn't even come out then, but they would have needed it.
It's only off-white. We can't do purple.
They didn't come
or
here
gray.
from space to wear no motherfucking Gap. Gotta be off-white.
So another movie that is coming out this week, Snake Eyes, drops this week.
The mindless action I'm looking for.
Yeah, not going to the theaters to watch that. I want to wait till that.
Is it in theaters only?
Not on demand. Yeah, it's in theaters only. Next week, Jungle Cruise.
Hold up, we got to pause there for a second. I never thought there would come a day when we would be sitting here like in theaters. Yeah. Gross.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I want to watch it from home.
There
used to be
people,
a great experience going to the theaters. Now it's like I have to leave the house.
But so yeah, we haven't been. If you take out Tenet, because we went to a drive-in theater to watch Tenet. If you take that out of the picture, we haven't been to the theaters. I haven't been to the theaters in it's been almost 2 years, dude.
What do you think is the last movie you saw in theaters?
I think it was Us. I want to say it was Us. It couldn't have been Us because that was a long time. That was 2019.
Damn,
I think.
Man, what like we're gonna have to look this up.
Was it Venom? No, it wasn't.
What
Venom.
movies came out at the top of like 2019?
That's gonna take too long to look up. We'll have to save that for another show. But yeah, it's been a long time. I'm not breaking that in order to go see Snake Eyes. I can guarantee that. No. Coming out next week though is Jungle Cruise, with The Rock and Emily Blunt. That looks like it's a family movie. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, most of his movies are family movies. And here's what I'm wondering though. I hope because he's already built the brand of like being like this, larger than life action hero, but still manages to like make fun movies for his daughter to watch, right? Which I love that about The Rock. He's like, he could do the bad guy shit, but he's like, kind of like.
I mean, he also, they cut him a check.
Yeah. But again,
that makes it a little easier.
But at this point in time in his career in Hollywood, like I'm very certain he's dictating his projects and like scripts are being
dictating his projects in the sense that like he's not doing anything tremendously like out of his wheelhouse, but I'm sure he's not dictating like
I can imagine he probably gets pitched like 100 different scripts like a year.
I'm sure.
And then he chooses.
He's the biggest. Well, I guess
I think he's the highest grossing actors in Hollywood, right?
Grossing. I don't know if that's the thing. Right?
No, I think he is the highest grossing and highest paid.
I know he's highest paid.
Yeah. Who would be grossing more than him per film?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe like say if Cruise comes out with a film, like I'm sure those Mission Impossible are still
I looked
doing
it up, and it is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson,
highest grossing and highest paid actor in Hollywood,
yes.
right?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So again, I think he's very much dictating the projects he works on, and he like picks his projects specifically, like projects that are on brand, right? On brand with him. As far as I understand, some of the news coming out is that Black Adam is going to be like a departure from what you typically see from Dwayne Johnson. It's gonna be like a darker character. I mean, and Black Adam is that, but like he's gonna get to play like
he's just gonna be like
he's
just gonna say the word "shut up" once in the movie, and then be like, he's so dark, dude.
Yeah,
like,
he really went over the edge on this one. But yeah, apparently it's gonna be like he's gonna take because Hobbs was a little bit more like rough around the edges, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna take that and go even like further. So I hope we see that for him.
For sure.
Kind of like what we saw from Denzel later in his career, right?
Yeah.
When he did Training Day, which a lot of people were like, "Yo, I did not
expect that from
Denzel," and then Equalizer and Book of Eli, things like that.
Yeah.
Consider this, guys. Samuel L. Jackson, highest grossing star in 2020.
Really? What did he do?
What did he come out with?
When did Captain Marvel come out? That was definitely 2019, right?
Yeah, it was 2019.
Fuck did he do in 2020?
I got it.
I don't know.
Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home.
He was in
Captain
Endgame all
Marvel,
of 10 seconds.
Glass.
Very literally.
Yeah.
It's the website, thenumbers.com.
Wait, Glass? When did Glass come out? Glass didn't come out 2020. That came out
like January 2nd.
2019, and it ran into 2020.
Oh, it ran into...
All of these movies still were selling in 2020.
Yeah, Endgame was definitely end of 2019. Okay, that doesn't really count.
Endgame wasn't 20, and that was March. I'll never forget it.
Oh yeah,
that was when Game of Thrones. Yeah. I'll never forget that. So Huh, that's interesting. Oh, did it go for like a did it go back into theaters?
I
for a
think
little
so,
stretch of time?
like to like beat
To
out
push it over,
Avatar and all
and then
that
it
stuff.
probably lost it again.
Yeah.
Sloppy.
Interesting though. Good for
Yeah.
Samuel L.
Yeah, go that motherfucker. Right, isn't that his thing?
Yeah, but you said that terribly.
I
Yeah,
did.
you ruined
I did.
it.
I'm not
I don't know
gonna
who that was.
All right. Now to wrap this up, we've got the Green Knight coming out next week. I'm ready for it. We're talking about movies that we'd go to the theater for. I think I might go to the theaters. That might be the one that pulls me out and get back into the seat because that looks great. Dev Patel and I think David Lowery, I believe that's his name, is the director for the film. And he previously did Ghost Story with Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck. Which I thought was a fantastic movie, a weird movie, but a great movie. I very much enjoyed that. And Green Knight looks weird as fuck.
Yeah.
And I am into it, dude.
You know who's also going to be in this movie? So there are a couple of other faces in this movie. Erin Kellyman. She played the villain in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, like she had the freckles and the red orange hair.
Yeah.
So she's in this movie.
Yeah, fuck with her.
Sean Harris, who plays the villain in I believe Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Actor.
I remember some villain in some movie. Maybe it was Ghost Protocol.
So he.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah. So he plays the villain in Ghost Protocol, and then they also have like Joe Edgerton. Who he's like, I believe he was in Avatar, wasn't he? Joe, yeah, I think he So he was the guy in the wheelchair, blah blah blah. Yeah. So he's in this film as well. So this film, the Green Knight, has like a dope cast, and I'm definitely looking forward to this. I think you're right. This might be one of those movies that will bring me out to the theater because like I feel like this film would be good to watch from the couch at home. But I'm ready to get back into the theaters. I'm just looking for that one film to really like push me to go back into the theaters. I thought it was going to be Fast and Furious 9. It came out a couple like weeks ago. I haven't seen it at this point. I really wanted to see what was that fucking movie we just watched? Black Widow. I really wanted to see that in theaters too. Really? But again, it was like theater or couch. And here's what I don't miss about the movie theaters. Because if you have to take a piss or you have to take a mid-movie shit, you cannot pause it in theaters. You can't. That type of convenience at home, it's hard to put a price on it. I've been eating the nachos with the cheese, or I got the hot dog with the extra cheese, or I'm eating a pizza or something like that, and it's like, hey, you know what? I need 5-7 minutes. I need mid-movie shit.
Hey, shout out to Ray, man, for fucking bantering while I was. Were you still looking in this direction?
Occasionally, pretending to make eye contact with somebody.
Way to fucking stall, dude. I was over by Addie trying to help Addie figure some tech stuff out.
This is what I do all day.
Yeah, just talk to yourself. Is that
Sometimes when I'm in the car, I'm not even listening to music. I'm just talking. If you're driving down the road and you see me, you're like, yo, he knows every word to that song. No, I'm just talking to myself.
Well, that's curious. But look, I don't know, Addie. Should we just move on here? And maybe you'll find what you got to find along the way.
Hey, I just want to say I had everything ready to go. I emailed you all of the B-roll.
I just checked my email. No email exists.
That's all right. You can go ahead. I'll fix everything. All
right. We'll go ahead and jump into our main segment here.
That was from his Kevin Durant email, the burner email.
Yeah, go ahead and change that Chiron for me. But man, let's get into it, man. We're not gonna mix any sort of words here. We're not gonna we're not gonna stall here. We're just gonna jump right into this shit. Space Jam. What are your thoughts? Space Jam, a new legacy. LeBron James.
So
what are we thinking here?
Watched this movie last night.
Yeah.
With the kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was familiar. I thought it looked great visually.
Why did you think it was familiar? Can I ask that?
I mean, obviously, like we know, not just ignoring LeBron James, right? Ignoring Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. I think there's been somewhat of a resurgence of a lot of like the WB content, right? Obviously, we've got Looney Tunes back. We've got who are the three, Wacko, Yakko, and Dot? What are they called? Animaniacs,
yeah.
right? I think Pinky and the Brain recently is like new Pinky and the Brain episodes, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's WB as well. So and I loved watching this movie and like seeing all of the other WB content. You know, we saw the Night King in the background, The Mask. We saw like Men in Black, Kong, which like, you know, another big movie that came out recently, Harry Potter. So it was like you're watching the movie and you're seeing all of these like nods to like other WB shows and content. Obviously, you know, the Space Jam story, LeBron's in it. I love the family story. His real life son was in the film as well.
Was that, we were trying to figure that out. Was that his real son?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think this movie was really about his relationship with his son. Because in real life, so we all know like LeBron James, and we all know like Bronny.
Who's we
right?
all? I don't know any of this shit. Okay, I don't.
Well, no,
I
so
do
like
not
you
follow.
so you know LeBron James' son, right? Bronny.
No, I don't.
How do you not know who Bronny is? He's like,
I hear the name all the time, but he's got like 3 sons, and I call them all Bronny.
yeah, I mean, there's one son who's like his actual nickname is Bronny, right? When people say Bronny, they talk about the one particular who's like a basketball star. He's gonna be like, you know, if LeBron lasts another 2 or 3 years in the NBA, the inkling is right that like the Lakers are gonna draft Bronny, and that this will be the first time in NBA history that a father and son has ever played on the same team. It's fucking great.
Is he? Okay.
Yo, no, he's a beast. I think he's like the highest. I think he's in college right now. I forget what school he's playing for, but he's like.
Wait, but that's not but that's the son that we saw going to like fucking basketball or not basketball. Was it fucking computing camp? Whatever. What did he go to? Gaming camp or some shit.
No. So
that was an actor, right?
So no, the kid in this movie who created the game.
Yeah.
Dom.
Yeah.
That is like I think like your LeBron's like younger son. His older son, his older son Bronny. He's like the basketball star,
and he was the one who was getting hit with like the basketball and stuff like that.
No, that was an actor. That kid was an actor.
What is happening here?
So
shit.
the only
which one was his son?
Dom, the kid who created the game.
But that was the one that you're saying is a beast. That's
no.
Oh, that's his name is actually Dom.
Yeah, and then LeBron has an older son who's also named as LeBron. But they call him Bronny. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like when they do the NBA draft, he's probably gonna be the number 1 kid coming out.
Goddamn chart for this shit.
So, but yeah, so this movie, because in real life, LeBron James, his younger son Dom, is not like
in a hooper.
He's not huge into basketball. I think he plays, but he's not. He doesn't love the game like Bronny and LeBron do. Right. Yeah. His thing is gaming. So and in real life, like LeBron had a kind of like a rift with his son because like he's like LeBron's like basketball is life, like his family, we play ball, this is what we do, and then like he started to like tear apart from his son because his son was like, yo, like that you love this thing, I don't love this thing. So this movie is really about like their relationship. So I thought knowing that backstory and then watching this movie,
I see you got that B-roll up. Is it
there we go.
We found it, Addy?
Hey, it was never lost, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. This guy.
So like knowing the backstory behind this movie and then watching the movie and then being able to like, if you've seen the first Space Jam, kind of like relive some of the things or, see at least more of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was well done. LeBron James, he's not a good actor. I don't know. I don't know why anybody would come into this film.
Yeah.
Expecting to see like an Oscar-winning performance.
No. I think
James.
that's hyperbole.
Or
nobody came
or
into it
even
thinking
like
Oscar.
really good acting.
He's not. I don't think anybody even expected that. I think people expected just medium acting, and we didn't even get that.
And so like the thing is, and I listened to like Undisputed, Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, and one of the things like Skip Bayless was saying was that like Michael did a better job at playing Michael than LeBron did at playing LeBron.
I would agree.
And I think
actually, you know what? I agree, but I think that's missing the whole point altogether, and I'll explain here in a moment.
Yeah, so like I didn't necessarily agree or disagree with him. I think LeBron played LeBron like in real life. LeBron is just like you see his. No,
I think we've seen in every movie that we've seen LeBron in, we've seen LeBron play LeBron, and he was actually good. Like so, for instance, in Trainwreck, he was actually good in Trainwreck. Like
I don't think I saw that one.
That's fair, but he was actually pretty decent in Trainwreck. But there's a difference between Trainwreck and Space Jam. Mm-hmm. I'll explain where I'm going.
And I think that different, like, you know, acting with like animated characters and like
no, I don't
real
think that's
people.
because Jordan also had to act with animated
But
characters.
like, so one of the things that like I would say is like LeBron. The LeBron I saw in this Space Jam was like similar to the LeBron you see on like social media
I fucking
or
hope not.
on
He
other
was
things.
a dick in this movie.
And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like his like mannerisms, right? His like him playing him. He's goofy. He's silly. Like he makes jokes. He's like,
But
I wouldn't say necessarily he's uncomfortable, but he's like a goofy guy.
Yeah,
Whereas,
but he wasn't really that goofy in this movie. He had goofy moments, no doubt, but I don't think it was like really to the degree that we thought we were going to get. We thought like based off of his previous acting roles as well as just us knowing LeBron from social media, yada yada. We thought we were going to get more of that.
yeah.
But instead, we kind of just got a douche a little bit. Like he half the movie he just spends being kind of a dick, you know.
Somewhat,
which
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was a little bit of a curveball.
Yeah,
you know?
but I thought like, you know, we got goofy LeBron in this movie. Michael Jordan, he's just a more serious guy. So if you look at the old Space Jam 2, he's just a little bit more like
I
serious,
watched it.
right?
I literally watched the old Space Jam right after watching
So,
the new one.
in terms of their acting, like I didn't mind either one. What I came to this movie for, right? And I think this is a kids movie, so let's be real. What you should come to this movie for is to be entertained, to have a few laughs. Like,
Sure.
does the story itself make sense?
Yeah.
Why is all this all this stuff happening? And take something away from the movie, have a good time throughout the whole process. I think the movie delivered on that.
Yeah. So look. So I did watch the first Space Jam right after because I was so curious, right? And honestly, I was watching with Caroline, and we were both really curious about like, all right, well, how does this stack up? Because it's been literally decades since I've watched the first Space Jam. I think I stopped watching it at some point in the 90s. It came out in 97. I think 98 was probably like the last year I watched it, right? So I hadn't seen it in a really long time. I'm not really a Space Jam fan. Didn't really care for it when it came out, but it was clearly a part of the culture, right? Watching the new iteration, there were some things that were done that I noticed like right off the bat that I was like, whoa, where are we heading to here, right? And I was curious if the first one had any bit of that, and it did, but far less of it. Now, what am I talking about? With and let me go to IMDb here because I gotta check this guy out because I gotta see who directed this movie. You had let's see here. Malcolm Lee direct this movie. Now, Malcolm Lee, I guess, has done some different titles, none of which that I'll call, you know, A1 products, right? We've got Girls Trip, which is actually pretty decent, right? I hear that was pretty decent. I haven't watched it myself, but I heard it was decent. The Best Man Holiday, I don't know if we're gonna be rating any fucking, you know, Oscar nomination letters about that. Undercover Brother, like, so we get a sort of a little bit of a tempo, right? That these movies aren't best known for their storytelling, right? Fair enough. Now, when Space Jam: A New Legacy comes on, you are immediately taken back by the awkwardness of LeBron, right? That LeBron, out of honestly everybody in the film, seems the most like awkward. And I was like, well, this is weird. LeBron's a pretty charismatic dude. Like, why does this feel so kind of clunky a little bit? Yeah, playing himself, you would think he'd be more natural. And what I realized what it was, like 5 minutes into the movie, was a combination of things. For one, or a combination of three things, I think. And these are the big things: directing, editing, and writing. Those three things were god awful in this movie. If you're working with somebody who's LeBron James, he's an athlete first and then whatever the hell else he's doing afterwards, right? Just like Michael was when he, when he did the first Space Jam. Yeah. What you're supposed to do is protect that person, right? It's like wrestling, right? Like when you're, this is a thing that they do in wrestling. When a guy's what they call green, in wrestling, when he's first starting out, he has to work with people who are going to protect him, right? Who are going to lead him down a certain path, who aren't going to go out there and make him look stupid, because you can easily make a guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing out there look dumb, right? Yeah. But you hopefully you're working with people who are going to make you look good because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah, right?
People who are going to compliment.
Exactly.
And not compliment you as like, hey, you look nice today, but like compliment like your skill set and like elevate you a little bit.
Elevate you. That's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for something to elevate. Now they had Don Cheadle in this film, which is Don Cheadle's. We don't need a Cheadle's Don Cheadle, right? He's an amazing actor.
He probably didn't even read the script.
No,
he was just going.
He's like, guys, I just no.
Was there a script?
They tried to hand it to him. He's like, get that shit out of my face, dude. Yeah. But with LeBron, first of all, the lines that they gave him were just cheesy as fuck. So I don't know if LeBron had a hand in writing it or if somebody else did. I don't care who the fuck wrote that. If LeBron did, then LeBron should never be anywhere near a fucking writing room. If there was other people who wrote that for him, what the fuck were you doing? Like, because you just gave him these cheeseball lines that it's like, yo, fam, like on social media nowadays, like kids know what's corny and what's not. Like fucking 6-year-olds know what's corny and what's not, right? Like, so it's like, yo, we need to get somebody in here who can say things pretty seamlessly. And there's a degree of cheese that I'm willing to accept with a Space Jam movie. Yeah. This movie was a few bridges too much.
There were points throughout this movie when, like, you know, the cheese was a bit too rich, right? It was like, I like some cheese, but like dial it down a little bit. I don't need it smothered everywhere.
I'm a little lactose intolerant. Yeah.
So and I definitely agree with that, right? But like, to your point, I think what a lot of people's criticisms about this film is going to be more so like LeBron James and like his performance, what he didn't do well, what he did do well, and they're going to forget that. Like, you know, I was talking to one of my boys in a group chat the other day. My boy Patrick, he was like, "Yo, like, you know." He was like, "Oh, LeBron James is just a copycat. Why did he make this movie? Like, you know, he didn't even see the movie. He was like, this is a shitty movie." And I'm like, "Yo, what? Like, LeBron didn't make this movie. This is a Warner Brothers property."
I think his production company was involved in.
So a part of the production, yeah, of course. And like,
no, I mean, like they were like, he was pushing for this movie to be made. Like it wasn't like Space Jam just was like, oh shit, we could do a movie with LeBron. I mean, I guess they were kind of like that, but he also was like, yes.
Yeah, I would imagine it was like a meeting of like minds, right? Sure. Like, you know, Warner Brothers, team of Warner Brothers, LeBron seems like, hey, like let's bring this thing to life. Let's make it happen, right? Uh-huh. But there are a team of writers who actually like wrote this film, right? There are, I think we just lost the camera here for a second. So there are a team of writers who like wrote this film. There's directors, there's producers, there's like a lot of other moving parts on this film. That like weren't like LeBron didn't write, direct, and star in this movie, and then do the editing and like like the visual effects. Like he didn't do everything on his film, so it's like you know, you can have your criticisms about him, but also look at the storyline of the film. Look at the like visually. Did it look good? Did it feel good? Did you have a few laughs? Things like that.
Right, but that's kind of what I'm trying to drive at, is that there were a lot of other factors, and LeBron isn't. He isn't. Like, let's just be frank, but neither him or Jordan were great actors, right? And so, but why does one? Because Space Jam, go back and watch Space Jam. I don't know if you did that or not, but go back and watch Space Jam 1. It feels a lot different. It's still corny, but feels a lot different than what we got with this iteration. So for one, the writing, from both a storyline standpoint as well as the dialogue, right? Like the dialogue for sure was off. The story too was a little bit too like kind of convoluted. Like we try to do way too much. Like watching the first Space Jam, what I noticed is like super simple. Hey, some outer space fucking animated shits are pissed or something like that, so they send their dudes to Earth, and they challenge the Looney Tunes to like or they want to dominate the Looney Tunes or some shit like that, but the Looney Tunes are like, hey, before you do that, let's play a basketball game to decide what happens here. Oh, okay, like let's get all these, you know, and then they go and, you know, find out like who are the basketball players, and they go get their fucking talents and shit, and then the Looney Tunes go like, who's the best basketball player? And of course, Michael Jordan. Super fucking simple story. This story, it's like, all right, well, you got the beef between the father and his son. The kid's a tech dude. He creates this game. He's got this tech that he used for the game, and then somehow they get, you know, introduced to the Warner. It's just, there's a lot fucking going on with this movie that I thought they could have pared that down. I appreciated what they tried to do in terms of creating the story of like, okay, LeBron, he gets scolded from his coach, so you see how that translates into how he interacts with his son, which might be true to life, but as far as a movie goes, it was just way too fucking convoluted from a storytelling standpoint. And then on top of that, the editing for this movie, at least in terms of the combination of the editing and the dialogue, was awful. There were so many scenes where it just lingers, where LeBron will say something and it's like a corny thing, and the camera will just sit there for like a beat, and you're just like, yo, no, like this, like that was too corny for us to be sitting with it this long. Like, you know what I mean? And so I think, for sure, yeah, for sure. Like the editing was really fucked up from that standpoint. As far as like technically, they did a lot of things with this movie that were great. As far as like some of like the special effects and things like that. Like some of the special effects look fucking dope, right? But the actual like editing, as for when it deals with the dialogue itself, was just it was not great. And then the last thing I'll throw out is the directing. I think that if you're working with somebody who's as new as LeBron to acting, right, and that this is not his forte, right? He spends like fucking 80% of his time worried about basketball, right? What you got to do is you got to surround him by people. What I noticed in the first Space Jam is that Michael Jordan has like 5 lines in the entire fucking movie, right? He barely acts in that movie, right? So he's protected because they don't expose him, right? He's not on screen long enough for you to really truly notice that he's such a terrible actor. That's why nobody really cared when it first came out, right? Because he spent all of 10 minutes on screen or 10 minutes as far as his dialogue goes or his interacting. And then when he was on screen with people, he's on screen with people like fucking Bill Murray, the dude who's from Seinfeld, the big dude from Seinfeld.
I forget his name.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Seinfeld in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he's surrounded by people who can carry him. That's what you want, right? LeBron spends like a predominantly like, and especially when you're working with like animated characters. Now, Michael did interact with bugs and all that, but you see his dialogue is short to the point. He doesn't have these like long like diatribes, and he doesn't try to do anything too crazy. It's all maintained and controlled, right?
Yeah.
Whereas LeBron, it's like they treated LeBron as if he was a great actor, which is like, no, he's not, clearly. And so as they were going through the editing for this movie, I had to wonder, like, when you guys were taking a look at some of the takes for this film, weren't you just like, no, like this doesn't work. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
So anyway, those are all like my and sorry, some people every now and then decide to roll around and to run on the street with fucking speakers blaring.
But yeah, to your point, like I do feel like Michael was surrounded by a lot more like talented and experienced actors. In this situation, the only one. Don Cheadle obviously is a seasoned actor, right? And then we have the actress who plays his wife, Savannah. What is her name?
LeBron's wife?
The actress who plays... Soniqua Martin Green, who plays Kamaya James, who is also then playing Savannah James, which is LeBron's wife in real life. We've seen her in a few shows. I believe she was in. So she's currently starring in like Star Trek, but she was also in several seasons of The Walking Dead, from like 2012 to 2018. So she's a seasoned actress as well, and it looks like she's also been in like a few.
She plays Moira in Handmaid's Tale.
No, that's not her at all. No,
I look alike.
No, yeah, I knew you were saying that based off of because I was like, no, that is not her.
But no, she was in a few other things. She was in like it looks like The New Girl. She was in Gossip Girl, The Good Wife, things like that. Yeah. So she is a seasoned actress as well as like Don Cheadle. But I do think that, like, Michael Jordan was definitely surrounded by a bit more talent. And I made an error earlier. So like this character Dom, he's based off of LeBron's real son, Bryce. So he's not LeBron's real son. He's based off of LeBron's real son, Bryce.
Because he was actually a fairly decent actor. So I was like, unless LeBron's son is just doing laps around him
just,
in the acting department.
Just beast
Said, you got the court, but nigga, who's got the silver screen?
But overall, I think this movie delivered on, for the most part, the things it was supposed to deliver on. Like, I'm watching the movie with my daughter, and like we're laughing. We're entertained. We're having fun with the movie. It looks good. It's funny. It has all those goofy moments. They were right on cue with like all of the characters. I mean, fucking Daffy Duck was hilarious. Was it? No, that wasn't Daffy Duck. Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Donald Duck was hilarious in that movie. I love Sylvester. Foghorn Leghorn was funny as shit.
Yeah.
I like what they did with Lola Bunny.
For all the jazz about Lola, so I went back and watched the first movie. She wasn't that much big a part of the first movie, and also the second movie she wasn't really a big. So for everybody who's like, oh my god, I can't believe they're desexualizing her. It's just like, for one, this is a weird fucking hill to die on. And then 2, like she's barely like a part of the movie.
Yeah,
so why
and
the
it's
fuck
like
does it
you're
matter?
watching this with your son or your daughter. Why do you want her to be sexualized?
So
like,
weird.
wait till the kids go to bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite characters in this movie, like the granny. I don't remember
Oh yeah,
her.
she was in the first movie.
But I don't remember like that character too
with
much.
Tweety. Yeah, she was with Tweety and
Oh,
Sylvester.
that's Tweety. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. Now I know where she was from. And then some of the other like athletes who appeared in this film. I thought Anthony Davis's character, like the Brow and the Hawk or whatever
I
character
thought that
he
was kind
played.
of whack. If I'm
You didn't like it?
perfectly honest,
I thought he was pretty cool. He looked good. Like the character itself looked good. He looked scary.
Yeah, I think they
but his-
look cool, but then like they did the weird shit, the voice, and I don't know. It just
Yeah.
it was a little off putting.
Damon Lillard's character was dope. Dame Time was that like robot
Dame Time was
man.
kinda hard, yeah.
Dame
That's
Time
kinda-
was hard.
It's kind of hard.
I thought Klay Thompson's character was like really. I didn't get that
barely,
was Klay at all.
Yeah,
like the
I
water
barely
guy.
knew it was Clay. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that was weird. But again, this movie did a lot of things that it should have done. It was funny. It was entertaining. I thought visually this movie looked crazy, especially like when the game was starting and they had all the WB characters like running down the hill. And
but that's just it. I kind of didn't understand that part either because it was like a mix of like regular people and then WB people.
Yeah. I mean, you're bringing in the tunes right from like Toon World and all the other WB content, but you're also bringing in like human fans, right? Kind of like what they did in like the NBA bubble, right? They teleprompted people in, but they were sucking people in from the real world to be fans. Didn't they do that in the original Space Jam too?
No, I think it was just like fake,
Really?
like a fake audience, like a just a random audience. Like I don't think it wasn't like
Yeah.
WB characters or anything like
I
that.
don't-
At least I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it wasn't a miss for me. I thought it was cool. Like, you know, if they suck LeBron and his son and his
I don't know if it was a
family
miss because I enjoyed like looking through the crowd and shit, but
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. I guess this
Yeah.
is the point, and I didn't really have a problem with that. I was just like, oh, that's
Yeah.
is it real people or is it the WB people? And I
But
was just,
there were definitely
yeah.
some cool like background characters,
Yeah,
right?
so
Like
Agent
King
Smith,
Kong, the
yeah.
Giant, Agent Smith, the Night King was there, and all that shit.
Yeah,
the Mask was
they,
there.
They were rolling deep with Game of Thrones.
Yeah. They
there
had
was
all
a
the, like,
few-
the White Walkers and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was fun. You know, I think there were things there for the kids, and then there are also like things there for the adults to enjoy too. So,
Sure.
would I give this movie an A? I'd probably give it like a B minus.
You're crazy. Get the fuck out of here. Look,
B minus? You don't want to give it?
Fuck no.
No, but
This
for
movie
it's
was
like
awful. What do you mean?
for its genre. Again,
No.
I'm not saying it's a B minus, and then I'm also going to give like A Quiet Place
no,
a B minus.
look, I'd give the original Space Jam. I'd give that like a C,
Mhm.
right? Because it's just a weird fucking zany movie, and it's like all right, middle of the road kind of. I'd give this like a D. It's lucky it doesn't get an F. Like, in fact, I'm tempted to just give it an F.
I wonder
It was
what
bad.
like
It was a
again.
bad
This is a
movie.
kids movie. I wonder what like kids would give this movie.
That's I'd be curious too. I'd be curious if this did resonate with kids nowadays. If they felt because there's for sure they don't feel a way about because Space Jam was like a weird cultural phenomenon that just
Yeah.
fucking came out of nowhere. No way because from what I understand, the original idea came from Bugs Bunny. Michael Jordan commercial, like that's where kind of everything
Gatorade
sort of
commercial, I believe,
that's where it all started
and
from.
as far as I understand, Michael didn't even really want to do the original.
I'm sure
Space
he
Jam
did.
movie.
When you read that script, you're like,
He's
this
like,
this
"What
could
I
be
gotta
it.
do?
This could,
Mike, just show up for
and then
these
he saw
few-
them zeros, and they were like,
Yeah,
all right, maybe let's see where this turns
but
out.
yeah, that's the question though. Does this movie resonate with kids? If
That's
it
true.
does, then it did what it was supposed to do. From the adult perspective, I feel like we're gonna be somewhat jaded. We're gonna like, you know, the original one is better, and like, you know, people who are like MJ fans are gonna be like, oh, I hate LeBron, and then LeBron fans are gonna be like, oh, it's great.
Fair enough, but I think that it's a worse film than the first one, not because of because of how they didn't hide LeBron's performance like they hid MJ's.
Yeah.
Like I think that's why it's a far worse film because they just rushed LeBron out there on the Summer Jam
Yeah.
on the Summer Jam screen when he didn't need to be. You know,
Yeah.
they could have protected him in so many different ways, and so that's why I think it's a worse film. Than
And one of the
first one.
criticisms I heard was like LeBron had more time to prepare for this, right? Like you have
sure.
the blueprint of the original
But
Space
again,
Jam.
I don't blame LeBron's not a fucking actor, so
Yeah.
I don't care. Like,
Yeah, so
I
it
don't
doesn't
care if he had 10
exactly.
years to
It doesn't
prepare.
matter if like okay, this other movie was made 10 years ago, and now I can watch that film, and then I
No.
get the idea behind it. But you still have to be a good actor, and he is not an actor by profession or by training. So like, you got to just kind of take what you get from him. But like, were there other things in the movie that were done well? And I think there were.
Yeah, the only thing I can say it was done well with the film is the graphics. That's really the only thing that I can hold on to there. Outside of that, I don't know if there's really much there for me. But anyways, that was our talkings about Space Jam. Look, let's move on to some other shit here. Let's move into our first trailer here. I've been hearing about this movie for quite some time. Let's talk about The Last Duel. This is a movie about King Charles VI. I think that's how the Roman numeral for 6 declares that Knight Jean de Caragos settle his dispute with his squire by challenging him to a duel. This is directed by the only Ridley Scott, and was written by a slew of people, including Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Nicole Halsner. And this is, I guess, based off of a book. Three different people did the screenplay.
No, I mean like that Nicole person.
Oh yeah, she's got like 18 names in one.
Hoffman, and Hoffman.
Fuck is that? Is that German? What is that? And then it's based off of a book written by Eric Jager, I believe. And of course, this stars Matt Damon, Jodie Comer, Ben Affleck and Adam Driver, and is due out October 15th of this particular year. Without further ado, let's check out The Last Duel. Yeah, Batfleck.
There is only one question that matters. Do you swear on your life that what you say is true?
My father told me my life would be blessed with good fortune. I'm married. I was a good wife. And then was judged and shamed by my country.
I say before all of you, I spoke the truth.
A most unspeakable charge has been brought against you.
Jacques Legris entered our home. He attacked me.
The accusation is false.
I am telling the truth.
The truth does not matter. There is only the power of men.
This should be settled quietly.
I'm innocent!
I request a duel to the death.
If you lose, your wife will suffer dire consequences.
One of us has lied. Let us let God decide.
You do not believe me.
I am risking my life for you.
You are risking my life so you can save your pride.
The penalty for bearing false witness is that you are to be burned alive.
I will not be silent.
All right. That was The Last Duel, the trailer for The Last Duel, rather. What'd you think?
Yeah, it looked all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't very there was nothing like sexy or like
Explain what you mean by
intriguing to
sexy,
me.
because I think I understand what you mean by sexy, but some other people might not.
For every movie, right, especially a trailer, like there has to be that like thing about it that's like, ooh, I like that. You know, it's kind of like if it's sexy, like that. I like that little thing that turns me on, that like flips the switch, that like, all right, you've got my attention now. Whether it's you know, whether it's the action, whether it's the pacing, whether it's like the tone, whether it's like the aesthetic of it, how it looks, the, you know, the way the characters are dressed, like there has to be that one thing that like turns you on, and I didn't get that. I was watching this movie, I was soft the entire time.
Yes. Well, I hope so. We don't. This is, we're keeping a fade or
not even
Proof of
half
Concept
mast,
Studios.
just
Yeah,
flaccid.
we're keeping Proof of Concept Studios a hard free zone. Is
this we could produce many things here. Okay?
It's not enough space. There's not enough space. But I think I have to agree with you. Usually I find somewhere to like disagree with you, but really, I really do think that there wasn't anything like they try to dress it up kind of nicely. You know, the trailer with doing the weird scrolling.
Yeah, the fucking PowerPoint presentation transition effects. That's really all that was.
So I kind of like that, but that wasn't enough for me to be like, yes, this looks nice, you know. And when you hear the people involved, Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, you're like, oh, okay. But then you see it and you're just kind of like, all right, cool. You know, is Love Island on tonight? UK? What is it called? Love Island UK?
Yeah. UK Love Island.
UK Love Island
UK. It's one of them.
Whichever. You know, so it doesn't look all that interesting to me, but I have a feeling it's one of those movies that's probably gonna have like a lot of like shocking moments in it, like, oh shit, didn't see that coming, or you know, they're dressing it up as like this mystery. I think the one thing I can say about the trailer, they did leave it as like, this is definitely going to be a whodunit kind of thing. Like, is Adam Driver telling the truth, or is this woman telling the truth, and are they gonna fight to the death, or are they not gonna fight?
Yeah.
So I feel like they're definitely playing that up. Never read the story myself, so I don't know how it all sort of ends up. So I'm going into it really clean. But yeah, it looked okay, I guess, is the best I can say for it, or the worst I can say for it is it looked okay.
You know what this story oddly reminded me of? I'm not sure how familiar you are with this story, but you remember when Derek Fisher and Matt Barnes, right? I feel like if they should have casted them in here.
Oh, it'd have been hot.
Yeah, the last Laker. Have you been with my wife?
Was Matt Barnes? Matt Barnes was a part of the Lakers?
Yeah, okay. If you watch the footage, like, so there's an old video back in the day of like Derrick Rose with like his girlfriend or wife at the time.
Not Derrick Rose.
Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher, yeah.
And then Matt Barnes with Gloria Govan, right? And they were together at the time. I think they were married. Mm-hmm. And then in the video, like, they're all smiling and hugged up. And I think this is when they were both playing for the Lakers.
Wait, so so Matt Barnes did play for the Lakers? Is it what I'm trying to confirm?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, you know, they're taking pictures and they're both smiling and everything's good. And you just see Derek Fisher peek over at Matt Barnes' wife, and he's just like, you could tell, like, not the way your friend or teammate should be looking at your wife.
Wait, are they still together now?
So they recently got married.
Oh, okay. I can't say too. If it's I'm just gonna treat you dirty for one night kind of thing, then obviously that's extremely fucked up. But if you're together, come on.
Yeah, but you know, this is like 3 years later or something like that. I mean, it eventually happened. They eventually got married. So I guess the thing is real, but it's still like, you've been with my wife.
I challenge you.
Have you not? I challenge you. Unsheath your sword.
Yeah, that sounds like a vastly more interesting story. Than
Listen, if this had Matt Barnes and Derek Fisher in it, I'd go see this movie.
In the fucking medieval armor and everything. I think I'd be all for it. But yeah, again, that comes out. The Last Duel comes out October 15th of this here year. Yeah. With that being said, let us know in the comment section what you guys think of The Last Duel. Yay or nay? You guys excited for it? Not excited for it? I guess everybody's always a little bit excited for the new Matt Damon, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, whenever they team up, it's rarely ever trash. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it's always like stunning and stellar.
What was the last movie they were in together?
Fucking.
I
don't know, but they've done like good projects together. Like, we know, like, they work together well. What was the first movie they did about those fucking Good Will Hunting?
Was it?
Yeah, I think that was the first project they did together. They work well together. We know that. So I can't imagine that this movie is going to be pure shit. Maybe it's just that like this style of film, this storytelling, like the old medieval night shit, is not like my cup of tea.
And I was not feeling fucking Ben Affleck's fucking Eminem type hair.
Yeah, the blonde hair. Like I didn't mind the blonde hair. I just minded the cut. I mean, like,
well, the cut made it look stupid.
Very stupid.
Yeah, he had a fucking bowl cut.
Yeah,
shit looked dumb. Yeah, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, let's talk about this next trailer. So, look, man, I thought we were done with Jackass. Apparently not. These dudes have to be well into their 40s. Well into their 40s. Still doing dumb shit. Don't you have kids? Don't you have kids, sir?
Well, you know what? You have to pay for those kids.
Well, you also have to be there for the fucking kids. And if you're fucking, if you're hanging by your scrotum from a fucking, chain in a fucking meat shop or whatever the fuck crazy shit that they're doing, I feel like that you might, be risking being there for that kid. If you're
what did Chris Rock tell us? Is that only women, children, and pets are loved unconditionally. Men are loved under the condition that they provide, right? Remember he said that in the Blackout?
I remember. Yeah.
So, Steve-O, right? I don't know if he's a father or not. I'm just going to pretend he has kids.
Yeah.
I don't know what else Steve-O is good at or what he can do, but we know he has
Doesn't he have a show? I think he has a show, doesn't he?
Maybe.
Or isn't he like...
I'm sure Steve-O's doing well.
Yeah.
But you still got to do that dumb shit you used to do to keep the lights on. I feel like this money was... I feel like this movie was like not necessarily a money grab, but it's just like...
I mean, of course it's... Now, they call Space Jam a money grab. Oh, damn. Remind me before
we know Bam Margera needs this money. And he used to be my favorite guy.
Why do we know Bam Margera needs this money?
Because he's like not doing well.
He's not doing well. No, I don't know anything about these dudes.
So I think he was like going to be a big part of this movie, but then I think like he had a falling out with like Johnny Knoxville. He got like kicked off. So I don't think he's going to be in this movie, or at least he doesn't have like a big part in it like he used to. And I think afterwards he like checked into rehab or something like that.
Shit.
He's not doing well.
Yeah.
But no, man, you gotta bring home the bacon. And we've seen Johnny Knoxville in movies, but we haven't really seen Steve-O do anything. I know he's doing stuff, but like I'm sure when they pitched this idea to Steve-O, he was like, "Yo, like whatever you guys need me to do, like I'm gonna do it. Like, how much am I gonna get paid?"
Anyways, we get a Jackass Forever trailer. So after 10 years, the Jackass crew's back for their final crusade. Sure it's their final crusade. I'm sure their last one was their final crusade too. This is directed by Jeff Tremaine, and of course stars Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Machine Gun Kelly for some reason, Spike Jonze, like a lot of people, just a lot of people in this movie. This comes out October 22nd, so this actually comes out the week after The Last Duel. So yeah, without further ado, let's check Jackass Forever.
MGK needs to drop some fucking music.
Yeah, he's doing music. Jesus Christ.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass. 3, 2, 1.
A lot of people ask, what will Jackass be like once we're older? Well, it'll get more mature.
The faster you pedal your bike, the faster the other guy's hand goes back.
You said it wasn't gonna feel like anything.
Concussions aren't great, but as long as you have them before you're 50, it's cool. And Knoxville's 49, so we're good.
Can you feel my heart?
Wow. Today, we're going to do a little furniture shopping.
I've been watching Jackass since I was 12 years old. And guess what? We're here.
We have winners, and we have Steve-O.
It ain't a bunch of NASA scientists writing this.
What did you guys do to Eric?
Fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
You still got those $1 million teeth, that's for sure.
Gee, didn't set myself up for failure on this one.
Aaron, please relax.
I'm trapped. And you're putting honey on me and salmon? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Way more interesting than the last fucking trailer. What was that trailer we watched anyway? Damn, we forgot the title of it already.
The Last Duel?
Yeah. So no one needs Jackass 4, but I mean, there's just by the trailer alone.
Have you watched any of these movies?
Yeah, I think I saw the first 2.
I never saw one.
Really?
Don't really need to. Once you saw the show, you didn't really need to see the movie.
It's just like, you know, bigger stunts and like wilder shit. You know, in the show, they may get stung by like 20 bees. In the movie, it's 50
Jackass
bees.
is the Fast and Furious of like prank shows. Where where it just gets increasingly fucking crazier, and you're just like, all right, guys. I feel like at a certain point, what did He Who Remains say? At some point, you cross the threshold.
Yeah, and you don't know what's gonna happen anymore. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see them get blasted out of stuff. We're gonna see stuff get blasted in their face. Someone's probably gonna get set on fire.
Yeah.
They're gonna be jumping over stuff and crashing. It's the same shit, just like in a different crazy way.
Is it a different and crazy way? It's the same.
You know,
way.
it's maybe in the last movie they did a bike. Now they're gonna do a motorcycle. You know what I mean? Put a motor on it. In the other movie, it was like a pedal bike. Now it's like an electric bike, right?
It makes sense.
Technology's changed. That's about it. But there's something about watching people do dumb shit and hurt themselves that never really gets old. Like one of my favorite things to do on YouTube is just like YouTube like old videos of like fat people falling down. Those like 13-minute compilations. Fucking love it. Seen the same video like 20 times, never gets old.
You know, I think that's bullshit because it's why Jim Carrey doesn't have too much of a career anymore, right? Now, I love Jim Carrey, right? But that whole slapstick comedy shit where you're just doing wild shit and doing goofy shit to yourself, yeah, it gets boring after a while.
Yeah. You wonder how Adam Sandler still is like dropping
because he's never been a slapstick person, right? Or
but he
not
has
too much of a slapstick person. No, he doesn't. Him and Jim Carrey are wildly different. Wildly different.
I mean, yeah, their DNA, but like their style of like comedy and humor, I don't understand how Adam Sandler's lasted the test of time. He's not really even that funny.
Okay, well, I happen to think that both him and Jim Carrey are doing great work because like their last few movies are like more of a serious tone, or I guess less from what they did in their earlier days. Like, so like Adam Sandler with his last movie, Uncut Gems.
The joint with Uncut Gems, yeah,
fire, dude.
But the movie before that was with Jennifer Aniston. Wasn't it like where they were like
some island or some shit?
And they were in Paris and like they pretended to be like spies or whatever.
I don't know. Oh yeah, or yeah, something like that. It came out on Netflix. I remember. But I think that's still not necessarily a departure, but like still different enough from some of the shit he was doing when he was younger. Like as he got older, he started getting more into like the romantic comedy.
Yeah, he's not doing any like more Mr. Deeds or like Billy Madison.
Exactly.
Or, like,
yes.
You know, any of that shit.
Although I guess, I'm sorry.
I will say though, brilliant guy. Because whenever Adam Sandler does a movie, he casts a wildly, insanely attractive woman.
Always
who's
fire.
Like nowhere fucking near his league. I think it was like the Daddy Daycare movie where Salma Hayek was his wife, and then his Jennifer.
No, it's not
Aniston's
Daddy
his
Daycare.
wife.
That was what's the movie he did with all?
That's one with Chris
all the
Rock,
people,
and it had Dave Spade in it.
It's not old school. Damn,
it was like Vacation or something. A Couple's Vacation.
No, it's not Couple's Vacation. It's like damn, I forget the name of it. But yo, like, and you know he's fucking handling the casting for this shit.
Oh
you know
yeah.
I mean? He's getting his casting, and you're like, wait, who do we get?
Yeah, it's like you know what? I think I'll choose my wife for this movie.
Yeah, who'd you get? Courtney Love? Nah. Go ahead and change that real quick. Yeah. Let's see what
Sarah
Selma's
Silverman.
doing.
She's funny, but I think we can do.
I don't know.
Salma Hayek is
on the
funny
right
too.
Day, if you catch Sarah Silverman, I don't know.
No, listen, she's all right. We saw her in. She was in Space Jam too.
Yeah, she was.
She's cute, but it's like Sarah Silverman or Salma Hayek. You know, let's cast Salma Hayek. Let's make the right moves here, guys.
Oh, he called her agent like 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
They're like,
and the price went up every time.
So anyways, that was our take on or look at Jackass Forever. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think of Jackass Forever. Do you guys are you guys into it? Not into it? Is it are they well past this chick, or do they still got a little bit more in the tank? Let us know. Let's move on to some of our other stories here. I'm actually really excited to talk about some of these other stories. Let's talk about this real quick. In Hollywood, sometimes you hear these stories about shit that could have happened. Like maybe this could have happened if a couple things, and it's like, whoa. So for instance, like one of them is Will Smith could have been playing Neo in The Matrix, right? That could have been a thing, and he turned it down like an idiot, right? What are some other good ones? I don't know. Whatever you can think of, right? So these stories eventually come out, but then sometimes something hits you like, what? That sounds wild. So one such story came out about James Gandolfini, who he apparently was offered a role on The Office. Now, if you are an Office fan, which apparently that's everybody in America, you would know that. So after Steve Carell left the show in season 7, I believe, like at the midway point, I think of season 7.
Mm-hmm.
So they replaced his character with James Spader, right? Who then played kind of like the new boss,
Robert California.
Now, bless his heart, James Spader, great actor. I don't know if he necessarily knocked it out of the park on The Office. I think he had a couple good lines, but his whole tenure with The Office was just kind of weird.
I thought he did a great job at like talking himself into a job and doing nothing. The
I
think it's one of his most memorable characters.
One of his most memorable, but as far as being a memorable character on The Office, perhaps not. I would say that was like the low point of the series is when we started getting to the Robert California phase. But anyways, James Gandolfini apparently was offered this role before Spader to be the boss on The Office, but HBO came through Dikembe Mutombo style. No, not in my house, because they offered him apparently he was offered $4 million to play this character on The Office. HBO stepped in and be like, how about we just give you $3 million to do absolutely nothing? And he's like, sounds like a deal to me.
I'd fucking take it.
So what's really interesting about that, and this all comes to us from, I think there's some dudes who do like who were actors on The Sopranos, and are now doing a podcast, which everybody is apparently doing. I'm not a big fan of this thing where it's like actors from the show.
Doing a podcast about the show.
I'm not a fan.
Listen,
I think that's kind of we're piercing the veil a little too much now.
Like for example, Donald Faison and who's the other guy who stars in the show with him about like where they're doctors?
Donald Faison played in this show where he's a doctor.
Zach Braff and is it Donald?
No, is it? Okay, Scrubs.
Yeah,
you're talking about Scrubs. I thought you were talking about Faison Love. I got that confused. Faison Love. He was a doctor.
So they do a podcast, like I think it's called like Actors Playing Doctors or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a double dip! I mean, hey, listen, get that secondary bag, right? You got the bag for the first thing. It's like, you mean to tell me I did the first thing, you paid me for that, but I could talk about how I did the first thing. I can get paid for that too?
2 times. Yeah.
IRS is like, how do we tax this? Like,
IRS is looking like
what tax code?
Yo from the Wire. Was it was it Weebay?
About what though?
Where there's like that meme of him like,
oh, like Yeah. I was like, wait, and you know you're gonna write that shit off. Listen, I'm not. This is not new income. This is talking about my previous job. I'm just talking about my job.
But look, so I'm not a big fan of that. It is what it is. But this is really fucking interesting because imagine Tony Soprano essentially being, the new boss on The Office. What the fuck would that have looked like? That would have looked wild, Yeah. But that's exactly why fucking HBO went to put the kibosh on it, because they were like, no, we need to protect one of the greatest shows of all time by not having this guy be a fucking goofball on The Office.
Yeah, because what stark contrast, right? Yeah. Like going from playing Tony Soprano to
doing some wacky shit,
some
on The Office.
Rinky. Not necessarily that The Office was rinky dink, but
no. You can't call The Office a rinky dink show, nor can you diminish just like how important it is in the ethos of shows. But it would have been a wildly different character than the Tony Soprano. But everybody would have seen Tony Soprano every time they looked at James Gandolfini, which would have potentially have hurt the Sopranos product. It would have maybe cheapened it a little bit, right? In terms of what the perception is, because their whole perception of Tony Soprano, he's this mobster, and the Sopranos is its own world, So to protect that, the HBO was like, we'll just give you money not to do that, which is a wild baller move from HBO. Though I'm not gonna lie to you, that's well played.
If only like that would be adopted in other situations, like if I wish my boss, my employers would pay me like, Rain, just stay in Saturday and Sunday night, just so you're not hungover Monday morning, because we know your production is going to be super low. We'd rather just pay you to rest up and come in Monday ready to go. That would be great,
instead of clocking out every day, why don't you just stay on the clock? Just stay out of trouble. Just stay out of trouble. Go to sleep a little earlier. Maybe
here's a little bit of extra money so you can have fun at home. You don't even got to go out. James Harden. Here's an extra meal not to go to the strip club. Just have a couple come over. Don't go to the strip club.
He'd probably turn that down.
He would. James Harden would turn it down and go spend $4 million at the strip club. He's like, I'm going to turn down your $1 million to stay home, and I'm going to go and spend $4 of my own. It doesn't make any sense, but James Harden would do it.
Wild guy, James Harden. So yeah, that is really interesting. I thought that Gandolfini. Now he actually was before, because he died in 2013, as I think we all remember. But he actually had some other roles sort of like lined up for himself. Now he was going to take the Office thing, because he was like, I ain't doing shit else, so fuck it, But he was going to do, I think, the night of. He was supposed to star in that series, and I think he was actually supposed to both star and produce the series. But of course he passed away, so he got a producer credit on it. So he was going to do that as well. So he had some other things lined up outside of this opportunity with The Office. But that's just vastly interesting, in the whole universe of what could have happened. What the fuck would The Office have looked like with? Gandolfini's great actor, Office great show. I'm not sure if I see the pairing of those two, although it's interesting. I would have thought it would have been just like James Spader. James Spader was, and they clearly, the people at The Office, they clearly had an idea that they wanted a straight-laced person or somebody who's more serious to act in the role versus like a goofball like Will Ferrell or some shit. Will Ferrell was in there for like a few episodes, but they clearly wanted to go in the opposite direction, given the fact that it was James Spader, Gandolfini, these more serious actors, or I guess the roles that they take on were more serious. You gotta
have that balance. I mean, they brought Idris Elba in, who I thought played like a really good character. As like that kind of replaced that midterm replacement for Michael. And he was that balance. He was a very serious actor, very serious presence in The Office to play on. He played
it perfectly too.
The antics that were going on in The Office. So like maybe James Gandolfini would have been something similar to what Idris Elba did. Like, all right, let's balance the comedy with like.
But how do you do that for like multiple seasons though? Because that was the thing, right? That Idris Elba's character was like there for like 5 episodes, and that was like it, right? But can you carry like 2 seasons worth of a show, playing that kind of straight-laced person?
I think what James Gandolfini might have been doing here is like, all right, I played Tony Soprano. I love that show, but like I want to have career where I can play a variety of characters, being like a variety of things outside of like serious mobs, gangsters type of films.
Yeah.
So my next immediate project is going to be a stark contrast from what I did last. I mean, and we
from
saw
his
a lot
perspective, I get that, but from the Office's perspective is where I kind of am like,
yeah,
that's an interesting choice. But
maybe there's like, let's bring in somebody who's like a big name that's going to keep at least interest in this thing alive, right?
Yeah. Really interesting. So let's jump to. I think we can get these next two stories in. I think we can force those in. Look, let's talk about Aliens. July 18th marked the 35th year anniversary for the sequel to Alien, which is Aliens, which is very confusing even to this very day. But what it gives us the opportunity to do, there's this article that came out in the Nerdist, and it talked about how Aliens paved the way for other genre-changing sequels. So that's, you can't come out with the original movie and it's one genre, and then you have a second of the follow-up, the sequel, that's a kind of a different genre, which is, you know, up until Aliens was like rare, you know, if it was ever done, to have a follow-up to a movie and have it kind of switch basically everything that it was doing, you know, subverting expectations. Now, on this list of movies that supposedly were inspired by the genre change of Aliens, right? Like, so for instance, the first Alien movie was basically kind of like a horror movie, right? It's a sci-fi kind of horror movie, right? Is what it was. Aliens, the sequel to it, was more of just like a fucking shoot 'em up action movie, which is, they were both awesome, if I'm being perfectly honest here. Now, the third one, let's not speak too much of that. But they were both great movies, but two different genres, rare, right? So the Nerdist talked about other sequels that kind of fit this mold as well. They talked about one of my favorite movies of all time, which was A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, which was a real strong departure from the first two movies. And I would argue that A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was a really decent departure from the first movie. But Dream Warriors was like this, like, fucking, I don't know if have you ever seen that?
I'm sure I have. I don't remember it too fondly.
Okay. Yeah, it was a campy 80s movie, right? But it was dope because it was like you saw the people fighting back against Freddy. Like everybody wasn't just like this helpless person who couldn't do shit. They were like going into their dreams, whooping Freddy's ass at certain points. Now, eventually they all got ganked in the end.
Yeah.
But it was dope because they all had like these weird powers and shit. Like it was just tight. Like I've always had like a soft spot for that movie. So, and they also mentioned obviously T2. Look, I would argue that the first Terminator was kind of a horror movie. It's a little bit of a horror / thriller, sci-fi,
like futuristic horror, that type of thing. Yeah.
But I think it was kind of like a horror movie. The second one was just a fucking straight up action movie, like one of the greatest action movies to ever be. Now both Aliens and Terminator have. Of course, they were both directed by James Cameron, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, Ridley Scott. What am I doing? I'm drunk. Ridley Scott directed Alien and Aliens. And then Evil Dead 2. I never really watched Evil Dead 2 or really any of the franchise.
Evil Dead 2 was good. I didn't see Evil Dead, like the first one, which was made in 81.
Yeah.
I think that was taking a little
wasn't
too
never
far
really
back
my
for me.
bag. Yeah. Captain America, and then Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Strong departures. The first one was kind of like a Indiana Jones type of story. Meets
guy saved the world, gets the
superhero.
girl. You know, we're opening.
Well, he
up.
definitely didn't get the girl because he went into the water for a while.
He almost got her. Close enough. Well, he had her. He just never hit.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Yeah, he never broke the magnum open. He never cracked the gold seal there. And then of course Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, was like this fucking espionage, you know, fucking throwback to kind of like this almost like almost felt like a Bond film at certain points, you know,
that like spy action thriller type thing,
and then had like the fucking Jason Bourne elements and with the shaky cam. It was fucking dope,
incredible. Definitely, I think in my opinion, top 3 Marvel movies.
Of course, yeah. Well, I don't know if I might have to put it in top 3.
Yeah, I would go Endgame, Infinity War, Captain America.
We've talked
Winter
about
Soldier,
our
Black
MCU
Panther.
list before,
Yeah.
but yeah, to stay in the MCU, you have Ragnarok, which is kind of like the zany space comedy, strong departure from the first 2 films, where it's more dramatic, more sort of serious films, whereas Ragnarok was just a fucking comedy. Is all we can really say about that. Now they do have the Dark Knight on this list. I don't necessarily think that was a tremendous.
This is the only one
departure.
that I don't 100% agree with, because I think that it was very on brand or on par with what we were expecting.
Well,
Batman Begins. This is just Batman. Batman Begins was like the introduction
classic
to
superhero story,
right? Scarecrow, like some of the smaller time villains, you expected them to level up from there. I think this was still very much like how would you categorize Batman? Is it?
It's just
action adventure,
yeah,
right?
or superhero origin stories is sort of how I would categorize Batman Begins. And then, but what their argument is that The Dark Knight was a crime thriller. I can buy that, but I wouldn't say that was like a super strong departure from the first one, right? Like it was still kind of in line. Like you can find kind of that in all, like it's all kind of a crime thriller, right? Because it's fucking Batman, right?
Yeah.
What is he doing outside of solving fucking crimes?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Anyways, this had me thinking, okay, well, what can I come up with that are movies that were strong departures from where they started as far as like the original films go? I got some interesting things on here. Do you have any that you can think of either off the top of your head or that you
offhand? No, I'd love to hear your list though.
Okay. Fast and Furious. You had the first Fast and Furious movie, right? Which was racing movie, right? And I'm not even talking about Tokyo Drift or Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm not even talking about those. But really where they started departing was Fast and Furious. So you had the Fast and Furious, and then you just had Fast and Furious. But then they really start departing where they start getting into, instead of just being these racing movies, now they're getting into like almost like heist movies with Fast and Furious 6, where now you're getting the ragtag team together, and then you're going out stealing whatever the fuck the thing is to steal. It's kind of like an Ocean's 11 type feel to it. I think that's a strong departure from where we started.
So interestingly enough, though, that is where they started. Because remember, in the first movie, they were just street racers, but behind the scenes, they were like doing heists. Remember, they were like jacking those trucks for like radios and fucking TI-83s and shit like that. TI-83s. So like they were like street racers, but the way they funded like the being able to fix up their cars were like they would do heists and robberies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Brian Connor kind of infiltrated their gang as the FBI agent, because he was investigating their heists.
But I think that's the thing. It was done more as a gang than it was like pull the team together and have them do this heist, right?
Yeah, I think it became the departure. It became like, now we're doing like international heists, like on some like spy shit for the government. Now we're fucking dropping cars out of planes. We're fighting submarines. Like we're trying to stop military coups and whatnot. Like this series definitely has departed from we're street racers and like we do some dirty shit to fund the life that we love. Now it's like we're saving the world.
Okay, fair enough. I won't retract that, because I still believe that
No,
was enough of
I'm
departure.
for the most part agreeing with you, but I think the heist thing has been there throughout,
but just
like
less a part of
the departure has been like their reasons and like why they're doing everything they're doing.
Okay, I can buy that. This one I'm certain about. 10 Cloverfield Lane. The first Cloverfield movie was just a straight up fucking monster movie.
I've never seen 10 Cloverfield Lane.
So 10 Cloverfield Lane is basically a John Candy. It's not John Candy, right? That's not it. What am I looking for? Who's the guy from Roseanne? Who's the dad in Roseanne?
I do not know. He has like the big barrel chest voice.
John Goodman.
John Goodman. That's what I'm looking for. In 10 Cloverfield Lane, they're trapped. It's still kind of the monster is still out there, but they're trapped in like this one space, and you're trying to figure out if John Goodman is like a good guy, if he's a bad guy. Is he actually holding them there because he's trying to protect them, or is he fucking just trying to like?
Yeah, you know what? My bad.
You know.
I have seen this.
You have seen it.
Yeah, I would agree with this one. I think that was a departure from the first. Before it was like, all right, this is the aliens are invading movie. The second one was like, this is like a survival movie.
Yes, yes, that's exactly what I would say.
Good one.
The last one I have on my list, Logan.
Yeah.
The first two films were basically just comic book movie films. I guess you could say that the second one took inspirations from like Asian culture, like
where they were in Japan and shit.
Yeah, I think they were in Japan.
I think we all like to forget that one.
No, actually, I thought that was pretty decent.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Okay, fair enough. But Logan is like a Western. It was a throwback to a lot of Western movies. From its aesthetic to its story, it just really sort of borrowed a lot from that genre.
Yeah. I mean, it went from being like a comic adaptation, action adventure to kind of like that Last Ride. You know what I mean? Like a long farewell type of vibe.
Yeah.
Phenomenal movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Love that movie to bits.
Yeah. To debts.
To bits.
Oh, to bits. I was like,
yeah.
To debts. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, so I think this ties into like our last segment, which we'll try to wrap up really quick.
So, I think this is a bigger conversation because
I think we can.
My perception of it changed recently.
Okay.
Because
let's tell the people what we're talking about.
So, and I do want to save this for the next show because I think it might be a bigger conversation. Okay. And what I'd like to do in our next show is feature 2 horror film movie trailers. And then we could have a bigger conversation like, all right, is this thing still alive or not? But anyway, so the conversation Tuna and I were having earlier in the week were we were talking about like the state of horror films today. Right? Mm-hmm. What film were we talking about specifically that like kind of sparked this conversation?
I don't think it was a specific film.
There's a movie with Ilana.
False Positive.
False Positive. We watched that recently. The Conjuring 3. And we were talking about how a lot of movies are being given the horror label and they're being put into horror genre and category, but these movies just aren't scary. And I think for you, I think that's kind of really started with was it Us?
Both Us and Get Out.
And
I didn't really think Get Out was even remotely scary. I didn't think Us was even remotely scary, but they were both hyped. Like they're, if you look at any list right now, they're both considered, 2 at the top horror movies. And I'm like, horror? What say you?
Yeah.
Where's the horror in either of these movies? Like, do they have some jump scares? Sure. Are they horror movies? In like the classical sense, fuck no.
Yeah, and I think where we could pick this conversation up is, and what I'd like you to do is maybe check out 1 or 2 episodes of American Horror Stories on Hulu, which I think that may push you in either direction. Maybe the direction of that you're already going, where it's like, is this genre still what it used to be when we had a lot of those original creations? And like again, we spoke about this too. It's hard to be original now because everything's already been done. So the only thing you could do is kind of take what's been done and try and put your spin or your twist on it. Or, maybe you push you in the other way where you're like, yo, this genre is very much alive. And like, here are some examples of that.
Yeah. And again, we can have the full blown conversation, but there are 2 things I wanted to say about it is, for one, I think you're right. Everything's already been done. So I think the only solve for it is to combine genres, is to not just make it a horror movie, but make it a horror movie and this or and that, right? Because that's where you can start pairing it up and create some new things, right? What did we see in Dragon Ball Z? As soon as like the fighting got stale and it was just like, all right, well, I guess Goku's just gonna come in and save the day. It's like, let's add infusion, let's bring in Gogeta, Vegito, So I think that's what the solve is. But I think those movies are already out there, right? Some of the more interesting horror movies that I've seen over the past decade or so have been movies that have just been weird, like genre melding films, right? One of the movies I can mention is A Quiet Place. It's a horror movie, but it's like a survival movie, and it's it's mostly silent, throughout the whole movie. So it just combines all these sort of different elements that make it you naturally want to say it's a horror movie, but it's like not just a horror movie. It's a lot of different things. The other movie that I'll forever and a day say is probably the creepiest movie I've ever fucking seen in my life. Probably definitely the creepiest movie I've ever, actually, top 2 or 3 creepiest movies I've ever seen in my life. Hereditary. If you want to talk about a genre kind of weird fucking movie, it's Hereditary, where for one, how they marketed it and how you don't expect the turn that it takes. Like it's a slow creep where you're like, oh, I kind of see where they're going. You watched it, right?
Yeah.
And so you're thinking like, oh, okay, I guess eventually they're going to get to the thing where I think they're going. But then as you see it sliding away from that, you're like, oh God, where are we going here? Where are we
somewhere else.
Yeah.
I didn't pay for this, but I like it. It's like when you go to a restaurant, they fuck up your order, but you're like,
it tastes good.
It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So I think those are examples of horror movies that aren't just horror movies, but they combine different elements of other things to make something new, something, for lack of a better term, better, than just getting your classic. But we talked about it before where with any genre, it's going to get stale because it's a genre, because there's certain things within that genre, quote unquote, that makes it within that genre, right? So if you're telling a slapstick comedy, then there's elements that you have to just fucking add in there because it's a slapstick comedy. If you're telling a horror movie, there are certain things you have to add in there because it's a horror movie, depending on what flavor horror movie. But I think we're gonna get a lot of the more interesting things from the combination of genres.
And here's the question that I want to go a little bit further on our next show, right? So when we're talking about the horror genre, is it the genre of filmmaking, right? When like directors and writers and producers and studios are sitting down and they're making horror movies, has like the genre itself changed and been somewhat redefined, where now it's like, all right, like we're pairing it with like action adventure, we're pairing it with like thriller and all that stuff? Or has the audience's taste changed, where now maybe we don't want to be like scared, right? We don't want like the slasher stabbing people up thing. Maybe like our taste for fear has changed. Like, has our palate just been a little bit more refined, where it's like, I want more than just Freddy and Jason. I want to be like scared in a different way.
I don't think it has to be either. I think it's both. Both the palette has changed, as well as I think you get a sense that it's all sort of been, we've already seen it. Our palette has changed because we've gotten too much of the shit that was already there. And so naturally it's kind of like, what does Drake say? What's about to happen next? Like we're looking for what the next thing is,
Yeah.
And it's a thing that like it naturally ruins itself. It's like anything, right? Anything that is done to a great degree, you're going to constantly, what can top it? Eventually you're going to get to a point where you simply cannot top it because there's just nothing else to fucking do, right? If you're fucking, if you're MJ in his prime and he's after his like 6th championship, he's like, all right, we're done here. We're done. Go
play baseball.
Just go play baseball, some shit, or join the Wizards.
So I do have thoughts that may not fully agree with what you said, and I think it makes for like an interesting conversation. We're talking about like just film, not even just a horror genre, but like evolving tastes and like how we as the audience perceive things, and like how much of an influence is like our the things that we like influence on what we receive, or is it what we're receiving which influences our tastes, right? So I'd like to have a bigger conversation about that, but start in horror. So we'll save that for the next episode,
for sure,
of the Fade podcast.
Yeah. With that being said, I think we've arrived to the end of this episode. Look, this is our first live stream, guys. Hey, here.
Live as fuck.
Here. We're very live on the U of Tubes. And, hey, air horns. I like it.
Need more sound effects. Drop a bomb. Can we drop a bomb?
Yeah, we can drop a bomb. We got one. Yeah. Oh, whoops.
That was a bomb on a small
This thing is not the
village.
fastest thing in the world.
Look, he's trying to blame the equipment. Look at this guy. Look at this guy right here.
That was a bad intel bomb. I want the big bomb where we actually get the guy.
We're gonna be going live from here on out. We did this one to kind of just test the waters, make sure everything worked on the up and up, yada yada. Seems like everything's great. And so, yeah, we'll keep this live stream shit going. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you tuned in, we appreciate you, we love you. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, hit all that shit. Until the next time, folks, we will hit the very usual protocol.
Fade out.
Fade out, ladies and gentlemen. We out this bitch.